Carl Jung discovered that the most terrifying aspect of the human psyche is not its capacity for evil, but its autonomous intelligence, an intelligence that operates completely independently of your conscious will. You have likely experienced this. You meet someone who seems perfect, a potential partner, a mentor, a new friend, and logically, everything aligns. Your ego desires this connection. You crave the validation, the status, or the intimacy they promise. Yet inexplicably, reality itself seems to revolt against the union. Plans are cancelled by freak accidents. You fall suddenly ill only in their presence. Or perhaps you experience a deep, irrational anxiety that vanishes the moment they leave the room. Jung warned that these are not coincidences. They are manifestations of what I call the Sentinel Protocol. This is a psychological failsafe buried deep within the collective unconscious, a mechanism designed not to make you happy, but to keep your soul from being devoured. Jung believed that the unconscious possesses a transcendent function, a superior knowledge that can see around the corners of time. When the universe, or more accurately, the projection of your total self, is trying to protect you from someone, it does not send you a polite text message. It declares war on your reality. It creates obstacles, induces sickness, and disrupts causality to prevent a merger that would be fatal to your individuation. To understand why this happens, we must strip away the romanticized view of intuition and look at the brutal efficiency of your biology. Modern neuroscience confirms what Jung intuited through mysticism. Your brain is a prediction engine. The prefrontal cortex is your logical center, the narrator that tells you this new person is good or useful. However, your amygdala and your mirror neuron system are processing micro-expressions, pheromones, and tonal inconsistencies thousands of times faster than your conscious mind. They detect the predator before the predator has even spoken. When you feel a sudden drop in energy or a spike in cortisol around someone despite their charming demeanor, this is not social anxiety. This is somatic shadow recognition. Your enteric nervous system, the second brain in your gut, has detected the discrepancy between the person's persona, the mask they wear, and their shadow, their repressed, darker nature. Jung argued that the shadow is contagious. If you are not strong enough to withstand someone else's unintegrated darkness, your unconscious will forcibly separate you from them to prevent psychic infection. The universe protects you because you are not yet ready to handle the chaos they carry. Consider the case of a patient Jung described in his seminars on the analytical psychology of children and adolescents, though the principle applies to adults. We will call him Elias. Elias was a young, ambitious scholar who became infatuated with a charismatic older intellectual. Elias viewed this man as a father figure, a gateway to the academic success he craved. But every time Elias tried to visit this mentor, chaos ensued. Once he lost his train ticket. Another time he developed a violent migraine that blinded him for hours. Finally, on the day of a crucial meeting, Elias broke his leg stepping off a curb. Elias believed he was cursed. He thought he was simply unlucky. Jung, however, saw the pattern immediately. He diagnosed Elias with a severe case of what we might now term synchronistic interception. Jung explained that Elias's deeper self knew that this mentor was actually a psychic vampire, a narcissist who would have crushed Elias's developing ego and stolen his intellectual work. Because Elias refused to listen to his intuition, his unconscious had to resort to physical violence against his own body to stop the meeting. The broken leg was not a tragedy, it was a rescue mission. The universe broke his leg to save his soul. You must understand that the psyche seeks wholeness, not comfort. If a person threatens your path to individuation, the process of becoming your true self, the unconscious will utilize the external world to block them. This brings us to the specific observable signs that the universe is engaging in this protective blockade. You must learn to read these signs not as bad luck, but as the diagnostic data of your own survival. The first and most immediate sign is what I classify as energetic hemorrhaging. This goes beyond simple fatigue. You meet this person for coffee, perhaps for only an hour. The conversation is pleasant. You laugh. You exchange ideas. Yet, when you drive home, you are overcome by a comatose exhaustion. It feels as if you have just run a marathon or recovered from the flu. You might feel a heavy, dull ache behind the eyes or a sudden drop in body temperature. Neurobiologically, this is your body entering a freeze state, the dorsal vagal shutdown. Your nervous system has identified a threat that your conscious mind is ignoring. You are expending massive amounts of metabolic energy to maintain your own boundaries against their projection. Jung would suggest that this person is likely suffering from a possession of the anima or animus. They are unconsciously demanding that you carry their emotional burdens. They are not connecting with you. They are feeding on the stability of your psyche to regulate their own internal chaos. Your exhaustion is the receipt for the energy they stole. The second sign is far more disturbing because it distorts the fabric of your reality. It is the phenomenon of causal disruption. This occurs when the logistical mechanics of your life seem to break down specifically to prevent interaction with this individual. You make plans to see them, and your car battery dies. You reschedule and a pipe bursts in your apartment. You try a third time and they cancel due to a sudden emergency. If this happens once, it is chance. If it happens 3 times, it is a pattern. If it happens consistently, it is the Sentinel Protocol in action. Jung was fascinated by the concept of the unus mundus, the one world where matter and psyche are interwoven. He believed that strong psychic intent could influence physical probability. When your inner self screams no loudly enough, but your ego says yes, the tension creates a dissonance that ripples out into your environment. The universe is literally conspiring to keep you apart because the collision of your two psyches would result in a catastrophe you cannot foresee. You interpret these delays as frustrations, fighting tooth and nail to overcome the obstacles, thinking you are proving your dedication. In reality, you are trying to break into a burning building that the universe has locked for your own safety. There is a third, more subtle sign, which often manifests in the realm of communication. I call this linguistic deterioration. You are normally an articulate, witty, and intelligent person. You can hold your own in a debate. Yet around this specific individual you become clumsy. You stutter. You cannot find the right words. You say things you do not mean. Or you struggle to comprehend simple concepts they are explaining. You leave every interaction feeling stupid, small, and inarticulate. Jung would analyze this as a lowering of the mental level, abaissement du niveau mental. It is an involuntary regression. Your psyche is sensing that this person is judging you, analyzing you, or projecting their own feelings of inadequacy onto you. To protect your core vulnerability, your unconscious withdraws your higher cognitive functions. It is retreating into the bunker. It is making you boring or awkward on purpose, so that this person will lose interest and leave you alone. You blame yourself for your awkwardness, beating yourself up for not being charming enough, failing to realize that your awkwardness was a calculated defense mechanism deployed by your shadow to repel an invader. This leads us to the fourth and perhaps most painful sign, the mirror of repulsion. This is when you feel an intense, irrational dislike for someone who has done nothing wrong to you on paper. They are polite, successful, and kind. Everyone else loves them. But looking at them fills you with a visceral disgust or a cold dread. You question your own sanity. You wonder if you are the jealous one, the bitter one, or if you are simply incapable of recognizing goodness. But Jung would argue that you are experiencing the archetypal alarm. You are not projecting your own darkness onto them. You are perceiving the darkness they are actively concealing. It is a biological response to inauthenticity. Neuroscience tells us that humans are experts at spotting the uncanny valley, things that look human but aren't quite right. When someone presents a persona that is too perfect, too polished, your brain detects the micro-incongruences, the smile that doesn't engage the orbicularis oculi muscles around the eyes, the laughter that is timed a fraction of a second too late, the empathy that feels rehearsed rather than felt. Your disgust is not cruelty. It is an immune response to a spiritual pathogen. You are sensing a void where a soul should be. There is a final, often terrifying sign that confirms the universe is enforcing a separation, the Dreamscape Invasion. Jung famously stated that dreams are the guiding words of the soul. When your conscious mind refuses to see the danger because you are blinded by attachment or social obligation, the unconscious seizes control of your sleep. You might dream of this person, but the imagery is grotesque or threatening. You may see them standing in your childhood home, but their face is blurred or shifting. You might dream of being chased by a predator, only to realize the predator is wearing their clothes. In one documented case from Jungian analysis, a woman named Clara was engaged to a man she considered her soulmate. Yet for weeks she suffered from a recurring nightmare where she would try to hug him and he would dissolve into a swarm of insects that suffocated her. She dismissed it as wedding jitters. 2 months before the wedding, it was revealed he had a secret family in another country and had been embezzling her inheritance. Her unconscious had access to the subtle cues she ignored, the phone calls taken in private, the missing gaps in his timeline, and constructed a symbolic warning that was impossible to misunderstand. The insects represented the parasitic nature of his attachment. The dream was not a metaphor. It was a dossier of evidence presented by her internal protector. If you recognize these signs, the exhaustion, the causal disruption, the linguistic stumbling, the repulsion, or the nightmares, you must understand what is being asked of you. The universe is not punishing you by keeping this person away. It is engaging in evolutionary quarantine. The question then becomes, how do you integrate this knowledge without descending into paranoia? How do you obey the warning? The solution lies in what I term the alchemical severance. This is not merely ghosting someone or being rude. It is a psychological withdrawal of your energy. Jung taught that we are often entangled with others not by love, but by participation mystique, an unconscious identification where you cannot tell where you end and they begin. To break this, you must first engage your cognitive override. You must stop fighting the obstacles. If the car won't start, do not call an Uber. Take it as a command to stay home. If the conversation dies, do not rush to fill the silence. Let the silence crush the connection. You must consciously align your ego with the barriers the universe has erected. When you stop forcing the interaction, you will notice something immediate. The friction in your life will vanish. The headaches will stop. The anxiety will clear. The bad luck will cease. This is the universe rewarding you for listening. Next, you must practice projection retrieval. Often, the reason we fight so hard to keep these dangerous people in our lives is that they hold a piece of our own psyche. We project our golden shadow onto them. You admire their confidence because you have repressed your own power. You admire their freedom because you have enslaved yourself to rules. You are trying to consume them to get those traits back. Jung would tell you to stop looking at them and look at what they represent to you. Take back the gold you painted onto their mask. Realize that the charisma you worship in them is actually your own dormant potential waiting to be claimed. Once you own that trait within yourself, their magnetic pull will evaporate instantly. You will develop selective empathic immunity. You will still be a kind person, but you will no longer be food for those who refuse to feed themselves. This process is painful. It requires you to accept loneliness over false connection. It requires you to trust the silence, but this is the price of admission for higher consciousness. The universe protects you because you are a vessel for something greater, and that vessel cannot be cracked by the careless hands of those who have not done their work. You are being preserved for a timeline that you cannot yet see, a timeline where your energy is used for creation, not defense. Do not force the door that the wind keeps slamming shut. Do not glue back the glass that shatters in your hands. Stand in the center of your own being, observe the chaos without becoming it, and let the wrong people fall away like dead leaves in autumn. It is not rejection, it is pruning. Accept your protection, accept your solitude. It is in that sacred space that you will finally meet yourself. See you in the next dimension.